For your Saturday evoking of spiritual change through words and creative artistry, tune in now for the creative inspiration with Chantel. Kingdom Literary Works and Creative Inspirations with Chantel is proud to present For the Love of Us, an extraordinary 30-day series focused on strengthening your bonds of holy matrimony beginning June 1st through the 30th, 2018. According to Ecclesiastes 4:12, a person standing alone can be attacked and defeated, but two can stand back to back and conquer. Three are even better, for a triple braided cord is not easily broken. This daily series will offer inspirational nuggets of love and marriage through verbal and nonverbal means for both of you. It will shift your focus and priorities to balance respect, support, and love between the two of you as you discover or rediscover the us in your marriage. Gems of wisdom will be shared on communication, peace, understanding, fighting, affection, and so much more. Subscribe now and connect at www.kingdomliteraryworks.com/positive energy-blog. And don't miss For the Love of Us.
Sometimes the very essence of life provokes me to thinking. It causes me to poke holes with my questions so that I solidify the why of my very existence. Seems strange? That doesn't ever happen to you sometimes? Seriously? Inquiring minds want to know. Have you ever thought about what makes the world go round? No, honestly. Have you ever considered what it is at the helm of the cycle of life? Since that is something that I think about daily, I'll let you ponder it while I tell you about a beautiful chance encounter I once had. Now, most people that know anything about me know I never once meet a stranger. Well, wait. Let me correct myself. I never once meet a stranger since entering into adulthood. Any and everywhere I go, I start up talk with anybody. I could drum up conversation over melons at the grocery store, while munching on popcorn at the movies, or even while sitting on the bench at the park, I mean, what can I say? I truly adore meeting and getting to know people of all kinds. I relish and engage in different perspectives and viewpoints that provoke me to think outside of the confines of my own limited experience. Over the years, I've enjoyed chancing upon people of varying ethnicities, social background, and contrasting culture. The very thought of it filled my heart up with joy. And I tell you what, making the choice to really connect with them has drastically changed my life. Funny thing is, though it may not seem like it to many, I have not always been the outgoing social butterfly that I have come to be recognized as today. You can't believe me now? I know, but it's the truth. There was actually a time in my life that I was like this timid little caterpillar, somewhat trapped in the narrowness of my cocoon, That is until I realized I had option, and I made the choice to escape and remove the restriction. I decided to cease being fearful, cease being bound, and cease being unhappy. There was no more time for me to settle for the mediocrity of life. It was time to be, do, and soar. And I'll tell you, it was the best decision I could have ever made. Venturing to the outside of that cocoon broadened my scope. And it is where I found freedom. When I reached about my early half of my 30-somethings, I was introduced to this young woman whose presence in my life ended up changing my life. She was peculiar, you know. Upon my initial study of her, 'cause that's what women do, I noticed she possessed this rich and in-depth natural beauty. She always exuded this captivating, quiet strength that served as the very stabilization for her resilience. The confident space that she occupied was tilting towards capacity. I could tell she was working to tame herself and in an effort to avoid that confidence transforming into something she may come to regret or maybe fail to recognize. She was about 18 or 19 years old at the time and in preparation mode. She was at that stage where she was about to embark upon her exploration into the world of real life. It was clear as crystal that she was already her own woman. She was poised. When she presented herself, it was captivating as her words were laced with graceful intelligence and fluid wit that far surpassed her years on earth. She was strong. She was bold and undeniably courageous. She was indeed a young champion. At least that was the truth from my visibility point. Only through observation, I could tell that she never viewed herself through those lenses. As the days and months seemed to quickly pass by and she grew more comfortable with me and start to trust me, she began to open up and share the side of herself that she worked so hard to suppress. The gentle side, the apprehensive side, the side where pain and shame and disappointment dwell, the side where she wasn't forced to deal with life's realities. She spoke to me about her darker childhood moments, memories of how she had evolved from a broken home filled with clouds of emotional, physical, alcohol and drug abuse. Instances where she was unsure where her next meal would come from, or if there would be a next meal. Because of that collective experience and the resulting mental impact, she made declaration to herself as it related to her future. She'd promised herself that she would never live her adult life in the same manner in which she struggled in her youth. She promised that she would never intentionally cause the type of pain that produced the scars that she still wore today. And she promised that she'd always be good to herself, even when others weren't. Her imagination was wide open and awaiting fulfillment as is related to her coming of age. When she would observe different homes and cars and opportunities on television, she would vow to herself that one day those things would no longer be far-fetched but be rather within arm's reach. She was determined to have a better life, the best life. She resolved that she had to because her very life depended on it. I remember one day sitting and having lunch on the back patio at Cassidy's, and without warning she zoned out and into the distance, and she began to share a story with me. She said, "I've often wondered what people saw when they look at me. I never saw myself as beautiful, especially when being compared to who I was around. My complexion has always been so dark, like midnight. My hips have always been as wide as a Frigidaire. My big flat nose feels like it spanned the width of my face. And I've never been categorized as the girl having the good hair, but rather referred to as a naughty head. And for as long as I can remember, my second toe on both feet have extend past my big toes, which stand out when your feet this long. Not much to look at, you know. But I was wise. Even though I wasn't super easy on the eye, I worked hard at making sure I was dressed nice, that I was smelling good and being consistently pleasant. I had to work at being attractive to the eye. And it wasn't that I necessarily want to be like the other girls. I just wanted to be like. I wanted someone to desire to carry me on their arm with pride. Just once, I wanted to be noticed. And you know what? That can be a tough space to be in, a lonely place. And sometimes the reality of it can be a hard pill to swallow. As her words made landing on my ears, my heart was aching. I desperately wanted to interrupt her. I wanted to correct her about all the things that she said wrong about herself. But I couldn't. I decided it was in my best interest to wait for the optimal moment. Timing is certainly everything. So she continued. I'd see my friends walking around the hall, down the street, and through the mall with their boyfriend. Every time seemed like a hole formed in the pit of my belly. They always looked so happy and excited to be holding hands and sharing laughter. They seemed to almost melt when they engage in kisses with their significant others. I'd often look on with envy in my heart. It seemed like forever that I'd been on the sidelines and longed for that. I wanted to experience that type of love and affection, but I hadn't been successful in finding it quite yet. I would go home and stand in the mirror and reviewing and staring at every aspect of my reflection. I would pose and pucker and tell myself how beautiful I was. But truth be told, I didn't believe it. My words were empty and void of truth. When I couldn't bear the pain and rejection any longer, I decided that I would be a little more free, a bit more available, get a little farther out there, and then maybe I could find the love I desire more than anything else I could fathom. Well, my thoughts quickly transformed into things, and I started entertaining guys I never would have in the past in an effort to satisfy my need for attention. Before I knew it, I was finding myself landing in different men's beds a couple of times a week at least. Finally, I was getting the attention I longed for. Over the course of the next few months, I found myself lying in bed longer, crying more often at sappy movies and random moments, and I was quickly irritated. My mood swing seemed to reach beyond the sky, and my cravings were growing stranger and stranger every day. Something was happening to me. When I stopped to realize what was going on, I became nervous and afraid, and I knew there was no way I could tell my parents. There was no way I could end my pursuit. And there was definitely no way I could keep it. So I didn't. Though I know in my heart that adoption would have been a more suitable choice, I was selfish. There would have been no way I would have been able to handle knowing that my seed was roaming around alive and well, being nurtured by someone else. I had to admit it. And made a mistake. A very, very grave mistake. And I'm still living with it today. I was speechless as the story ended. I just sat there in a silent state while I observed her gaze. She seemed to still be in reflection mode, and I wanted to allow her the space she needed to deal with this brooding revelation in her time and in her way. No rush and no distraction. I studied her face and her body language as she struggled to come back into the surrounding reality. In the meantime, I prayed quietly. She needed my words to be healing salve for her heart. Though I struggled at first, I made and maintained eye contact with her. I made sure to keep her glance as I expressed to her how much courage that must have taken. I spoke highly of the power of resilience that was lying dormant within her. I worked hard to ensure her that she had visibility into the other side of her experience. As she wrapped up that evening, I was left with a lot to ponder. So many questions were circling around in my mind. Where had it all begun, I wonder who planted the initial seed of discontentment in her life. I wonder at what moment the stick she used to measure herself by becomes so inaccurate, leading her to act out on misguided results. I wonder how she was able to walk or even stand upright with all of the baggage she carried. And lastly, I wonder what I could do to help her. When I arrived home that night, I continued to flip through the pages of her story in my mind. The heaviness I felt from this encounter was not letting up. The idea of me having a responsibility in the matter would not relinquish its grasp on me. No one had stopped to right her wrongs of yesterday so she could be free in her tomorrows. She desperately needed to know that now, and I was determined to have my hand in it. I decided it may be impossible to get this message to her face to face without overwhelming emotion taking front seat. So I decided to write her a letter. This way I could be intentional in shining the light of my words into her dark places, and I could point her towards healing for her open wounds. Here's what I wrote to her. Dear younger me, I could not let this opportunity to speak to you from a place of insight, a place of truth, a place of resilience, and a place of light pass me by. With the passage of time, my sight has been healed and the scales have been removed. And now I can see you clearly in all of your remarkable brilliance, your beautiful mind, your courageous heart, your loving compassion, your helping hands, your gentle words, your humble spirit, your beautiful strength, every eternal facet that has made you valuable and irreplaceable to me. You have no idea how much I've learned from you over the years, and truth be told, I've not stopped learning from you yet. By no means am I in denial. You didn't get it all right. Everything about you wasn't perfect, but enough time has already been spent focusing on the things that do not dictate who you truly are. I was reminded of you in a dream this morning, so today I decided to fellowship with you. As I opened my journal dedicated to my years of adolescence, my mind easily drifted back to that time in life, and I decided to revisit what I've been through so I don't lose sight of where I'm going. Though I've flipped through these pages and I've read these words numerous times on numerous occasions, they struck me differently today. They were pointed and sent an ache through my heart today that made me long to speak healing to those broken places that we mistakenly call home for far too long. As I come across the pages that contain content of one of the most difficult moments ever faced, I pause, I stare, and I surrender to every emotion that was working to break free as I internally relived that encounter, play by play. It was then that I realized I hadn't been completely healed, that I had worked tirelessly to push that thought, that situation to the deepest, darkest corners of my mind, but to no avail. But today, I came seeking freedom. I came to break out of the cocoon of my past so that I could live in liberation, the freedom that belongs to me. As I stare at my reflection, I accept responsibility that was mine alone. I have something to say, something to tell the timid little girl inside. Don't you dare move out of a space you were created to occupy. Don't you dare let this life mishap dim your light, stifle your greatness, or negate your royalty. It happened, and you've acknowledged it. Now is time for the journey of healing to begin. You've prayed for God's forgiveness to rest with you, and He obliged. He allowed Acts 13:38 to 39 to be a reminder that, therefore, my friends, I want you to know that through Jesus, the forgiveness of sins is proclaimed to you. Through Him, everyone who believes is set free from every sin. A justification you are not able to obtain under the law of Moses. Now it's our turn. It's time to extend some self-forgiveness and then allow our feet to step us forward into the next dimension. The events that occur in our lives are just that, events. Even though they are instrumental in shaping us, they do not have authority to dictate who we are or who we become. It's time for you to see yourself differently, for us to see ourselves as the Father does. I discovered something. Did you know that there was a rainbow to rise out of this storm? A beautiful masterpiece, one that is vivid, consumed with vibrant colors, while bestowing hope through its very presence. The brightness of its light was almost blinding, so much so you may have missed it. That rainbow was you. That rainbow is us. We have emerged up out of the ashes and decided to try again. Decided to give life a go again. Decided that success is a mission that we've declared we will not abort. We will pursue. We will obtain. We will impact. We will triumph. We will persevere. We will be victorious. And these very efforts will be carried out to ensure that this chance encounter is not in vain. Soar high, beautiful butterfly. Signed, your liberated self.
Dear younger me, where do I start? If I could tell you everything that I have learned so far, then you could be one step ahead of all the painful memories still running through my head. I wonder how much different things would be, dear younger me. Dear younger me, I cannot decide. Do I give some speech about how to get the most out of your life? Or do I go deep and try to change the choices that you'll make? 'Cause they're the choices that made me. And even though I love this crazy life, sometimes I wish it was a smoother ride, dear younger me. Dear younger me. Would have had no power, my joy, my pain would have never been my word. If I knew then what I know now, would have not been hard to figure out what I would have changed if I had heard. Dear younger me, it's not your fault. You never meant to carry this beyond the cross, no. Dear younger me, you are holy, you are righteous, you are one of the redeemed, set apart a brand new heart. Oh, you are free indeed. And every mountain, every valley, through each heartache you will see, every moment brings you closer to who you were meant to be, dear younger me.
Kingdom Literary Works and Creative Inspirations with Chantel is proud to present For the Love of Us, an extraordinary 30-day series focused on strengthening your bonds of holy matrimony beginning June 1st through the 30th, 2018. According to Ecclesiastes 4:12, a person standing alone can be attacked and defeated, but two can stand back to back and conquer. Three are even better, for a triple braided cord is not easily broken. This daily series will offer inspirational nuggets of love and marriage through verbal and nonverbal means for both of you. It will shift your focus and priorities to balance respect, support, and love between the two of you as you discover or rediscover the us in your marriage. Gems of wisdom will be shared on communication, peace, understanding, fighting, affection, and so much more. Subscribe now and connect at www.kingdomliterarywworks.com/positiveenergy-blog. And don't miss For the Love of Us. Thank you for tuning in to Creative Inspiration with Chantel. We pray you've been inspired and strengthened. And until next Saturday, be encouraged on the journey. You may contact Chantel at www.kingdomliteraryworks.com.